Welcome to the third segment on paragraphing, where we will take a look at information structure and coherence and cohesion. When it comes to information structure, there is something called the information structure principle. This principle proposes that known or given information is placed before and introduces unknown or new information. Compare the following two text pieces. Which one do you think reads better? Does it follow the information structure principle? The second version is the one that follows the information structure principle. If you thought the first version was the better, I am guessing that you have seen a leopard, either in real life or on a picture, because then the sudden introduction of, for example, dark spots will not surprise you. However, if your text requires a description of this kind, it's a logical assumption that your readers likely are not familiar with what is described. We also have the principle of end weight. This principle states that heavy subject noun phrases are placed later in the clause. Compare the following two versions of the sentence. The second one is a smoother and clearer read. Furthermore, the first one places all the emphasis on the heavy noun phrase. This can of course be used for effect, but in this example it becomes problematic as the heavy noun phrase itself attempts to emphasize unemployment. These examples of information structure on the sentence level relates to the concepts of cohesion and coherence. Coherence refers to the logical organization of a text, and to a large extent takes place in the reader's comprehension of this. Cohesion, on the other hand, refers to the textual markers which help hold the text together, highlight its logical organization, and guide the reader's attention. Obviously, these two concepts are related, but it is fully possible to have cohesion without coherence, or vice versa. If needed, we can discuss this in the workshop. Cohesion within and between paragraphs is achieved through explicit transitions in the text. These include use of transitional words and phrases, use of connective words, summarizing or referring back to something, repetition of keywords and phrases, the use of synonyms of keywords and phrases, or the use of pronouns. Note that repetition should be used with caution. Most people recognize signposts and linking words, but a lot of language learners fail to understand that, much like glue, they are not universal links. Rather, they introduce specific connections, as we will note in the following categories of connective words. The first category is addition, that is, words that allow us to add new arguments or ideas to our texts on various levels. It is worth noting that moreover is something of a special case, which we'll discuss in the workshop. Attitude is one way of expressing our position in relation to our claims. Obviously, naturally, and fortunately in this case, it is not suitable in all parts of your text. Comparison speaks pretty much for itself, but it's worth noting that some linking words belong in more than one category. Contrast focuses on differences and highlights concessions and exceptions. Emphasis also speaks for itself, but always remember that you can only ever use absolute tops, for example above all, once in any given situation. Hedging will be dealt with more later, but for now, please note that rather than as often mistakenly assumed, it is not about being vague, but qualifying the validity of your data. For example, how confident are you about your interpretation of your data, your claim, or your argument? Illustration speaks for itself, much like order, although as a dummy's guide I will add that you must always remember 1. Not to create confusing levels of order, 2. To present as many questions, claims, arguments, or examples as you promise, and 3. Never use last, lastly, finally, until the fat lady sings in any given section or topic. Result and effect importantly highlight causal relations. This is great if your data actually indicate such relations, but needs otherwise be avoided. Summary wraps up your text and must thus never be used outside end sections. Naturally, these may include subsections of your text. Thank you for watching this segment on paragraph.